Hey, everybody. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Black and Gold Podcast, brought to you each and every week by Boonshine Brewing Company. They're trying to make the high country a better place and to help Boonshine. They're doing a great job. And part of the reason why they're doing a great job is because we can finally announce this. The Black Saturday Game Day beer, it's only available at the game. It's the perfect game day beer, low ABV, light lager. We all need something positive to cheer for this week. The cans look great, guys. I don't know if they've already posted on Instagram or not. We certainly have had the can artwork for a while, and Tim shared it with us, and it looks incredible. But for those of you that are going to the game on Saturday for Black Saturday, go get a Boonshine can of this Black Saturday beer. It looks incredible. I'm your host of the Black Gold Podcast, Alex Johnson. With me, as always, world's most famous App State fan, Big C. Big C. It's a cool looking can. That's the coolest looking can I've seen at Boonshine.
Really neat looking can. Everyone should definitely take advantage of the opportunity to post your bevs for Black Saturday when you get the opportunity, because that's how neat the cans are. Maybe even buy an extra, sneak it in your jacket pocket, and take it back to the house. I'm not condoning that, but someone might somewhere.
You're not condoning it. You're also not objecting to it either. So anyway, yeah. So all right, it is Black Saturday. This is something that for a while there in our Sunbelt transition, quite simply, we didn't really have because the Georgia Southern Saturday was taken away. The Furman Saturday was taken away, and so we kind of floated in there for a little bit. But now Black Saturday is alive and well. Marshall being Black Saturday is just very, very fitting. Very, very excited just for the feeling that you get when you're playing a rival at home and something as festive and fun as Black Saturday. It does look like, the weather report from Jeff Crum is rain will be involved, but not a washout. That's the official report as of a few hours ago. And so I don't know, bring a poncho, tank top, parka, whatever you need to survive Boone weather. And that's pretty cool. So before we get going with our usual rundown of the other sports and everything else, and it is, I'll go ahead and say our Olympic sports coverage brought to you by Styles Roofing. For those of you in the greater Charlotte area, 704-842-1874. That's what you need to get in contact with Appalachian superfan Billy Styles. They're the best crew in the Charlotte area, greater Charlotte area. They're going to work fast, get the job done, and they're not going to get paid until the job is finished and you are satisfied with the work. For repairs or replacements, that's who you need to go to. And Community One Insurance, for those of you looking to just get cheaper coverage, because none of us really are thinking about our insurance all the time. Like, let's just be real about that. But if you want to pay less for your insurance while having better service with somebody you can trust that's getting you the best deal, Community One Insurance is someone you need to work with, especially if you're an Appalachian fan. Matthew Johnson and Zach Ligon, both graduates of the Walker College of Business from the Brantley Risk Management Insurance Group. They're at now Peacock Hall was Rayleigh when I was there. And so give them a call, 828-455-2335 or Matthew.Johnson at communityoneInsurance.com to go get a quote. So let's start off with this. I actually watched some of this today, Charles. Savannah Data Maskell. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. But she won again. She won in the opening round of the NCAA singles championships down in Orlando, beating Cal's Naomi Zhu, which is incredible. And I did want to watch. It was on ESPN Plus, and so I tuned in. And I'm more of like a racquetball guy. I've never really played tennis. I know you're a tennis player, Charles. But I have played a little bit of tennis, and I do like the sport of tennis because it's not a timed sport. You have to beat your opponent. You have to, it's kind of like in baseball. You got to throw it over the plate. But I'm telling you, she just had such a stronger serve and even backhand, and she was able to just wear the opponent out. it really wasn't even close. It was 6-3, 6-3, and it was really fun watching. And really, really proud of Savannah for doing so well in Orlando, moving on to the round of 32.
It's really great for her and for App State. It's a school history. It's never happened before. Yeah, and the way those tennis heads call it, AJ. I mean, I know 6-3, 6-3 is the set score, but we just would call it 3-3 because you got to get to 6. Obviously, if you had to explain a tiebreaker, but just a little tennis terminology for you there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
I'll get a text from Robert Hogwood about that. He'll be lecturing me on this.
So yeah, that's that's getting it done. You're up a couple breaks, depending on how the serve shakes out. And it's not, thorough, but that is winning. That is doing all it takes and just enough to beat your opponent and tell the rest of the tennis world that I was better than you that day. And so who does she have next? Has that been decided, AJ? Have you?
Yep. It's Wednesday, 4th seeded Dada Maskell and Clemson's Ria Bhakta, who earned a spot going 3-1 in an ITA sectional earlier this month. So we're going up against Clemson tomorrow. I don't think they have a time though yet.
Okay. Well,
but yeah,
that'll be interesting. Did they mention that if they had played yet already or at some point in their careers? Sometimes that can happen. And
no, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that in the write up. But I tell you, this girl's come on strong, man, this year. I mean, she's just absolutely plowing through the competition, and I don't know. I get kind of jacked up when history's being made, and then seeing a Mountaineer, someone wearing black and gold, that's just clearly bested the competition. I don't know. It to me, it wasn't even close. But it was fun to watch. So I don't know if I'll be able to watch tomorrow, but I did before we recorded a couple hours ago. I wanted to see a little bit of it, and it's kind of crazy. Like 10 years ago, if we were doing this, I don't think ESPN Plus was mature enough to have that many sports on there. But here in 2025, we can do stuff like that. Watch a women's tennis match here and all the way from Orlando. It's kind of cool. But yeah, happy for her. So we do want to cover some other sports here. So many have already ended. I know that wrestling got kicked off. Let's go ahead and start with that, Charles. We were talking about that a little bit before we hit the record button about wrestling and who knows what this season has in store. So we do drop the. Oh no, we already covered this. We already talked about Hofstra and whatever else. Now we're moving on. Princeton. We drop a duel to Princeton 25-9. That's not very close. But then Glenville State 36-12, and then West Virginia, the other Mountaineers, the inferior Mountaineers, they kind of double us up there in Morgantown. Charles, any takeaways from the Mountaineer Quad this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of wrestling all in one day. So that's you're getting a lot of action going on. And there was a couple matches or a couple of these duels that we were not as competitive as we probably would like to have been. But I think having match by match by match, like you're going back to back, like and then having a little bit better result against West Virginia, who was ranked at the time. Putting more points on the board and giving up some as well. I think that it kind of shows that we wrestled a little bit better. We learned a lot, as the day went on. So I think that's a big deal until we get, they'll just make us better once we get into conference play in January, and we'll see how that all goes. But a lot more action coming up. We'll have our Road Mountain Open on Sunday, and then the following week we'll wrestle NC State at home.
Yeah, it'll be challenging. NC State's always they're always really good. Now let's move to volleyball here. we split our last weekend against Troy. We do send the seniors out with a 3-0 sweep on Saturday at least, which is good. But this is it. End of the road. 15-12 overall. We do end 6-10 in conference. What started out as like a really, really great start for the ladies. Really, really tough to overcome that 6-game losing streak there in the middle of the conference season. Just really, that's really what did us in there, Charles. I mean, it's tough going back-to-back weekends on the road down to Statesboro and into Conway before you have another home slate. But unfortunately, the ladies showed great promise early in the year, and that's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the way it goes. It's unfortunate for Chad Sutton's group to have not made the tournament, but he kind of got a short stick this year. Kind of came in late in, I guess, the season, I guess you would say, to the off season to, coach these girls up and, get some recruits in and all that. So I think next year would be more of a more appropriate year one for him to and his program to get his gals in there and see what they can do. Just didn't have a lot of an off season to really ramp up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Volleyball's a tough sport. It's competitive, especially in this conference. So we'll look forward to that. But great effort, ladies. But that we could check that off the list, right? Fall sports are slowly ending. So now these are kind of falling off as we're picking up some others like wrestling and basketball. Let's talk about some ladies hoops here. So got 2 games to talk about. Davidson comes up. So we started off with 4 home games in a row starting out the season. It's pretty sweet. Davidson comes to the home center. 74-55. We dropped that one, and then play Wofford. We're just going back to the SoCon, right? I mean, that's just kind of the it's kind of the theme here. And then we kind of have almost like a reverse score there as well. We do win that one 77-50. The ladies are 3-1 on the year, which is really good. I mean, we did play Bob Jones, who Bob Jones is that's kind of a tune-up, right? But played three peers really. If you want to look at it that way, and are 2-1 against peer play. I like that, Charles. What do you think of the start so far, at least this past week?
Davidson is they were able to recruit a different type of basketball player than we are, and they were just very efficient in their half court sets and moved the ball better than we did, and made it difficult. This was really a game for the first 3 quarters, and even though we were only down 10, it felt like it was within reach. But then we just had a tough fourth, and Davidson just nailed us down and made that game look a lot worse than it really was. Let's see. The Davidson game that was Wednesday night.
Yes.
So I got there about at some point in the first quarter after the end of Mountaineer Talk. So, or maybe in the second quarter. And so didn't catch all of this, but we were within distance when we walked in, and just not enough. But, great job by Elena Perisic. She had 29 minutes off the bench, scored 13.
Wow.
And we were 1 of 11 from 3-point range. I mean, that's going to be really tough to win any night. And Davidson hit 9. So do the math there. That's how you have a 20-point loss almost. Yeah. So great job by Davidson's defense, kind of keeping us. We're shooting, a good percentage, both from 3-point range and from the field. And then when you really like the Wofford game, man, they were overmatched. It's really crazy in women's basketball how quickly you go from one to the next. The Wofford game was at 2:00 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I got in there after the men finished, and now the men were on ESPN Plus. And I walked in the door, and it was in the first quarter, 3:54 to go, and we were up 12-8. And I think we went on like a 20 to something run. Next thing I knew, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like 24-8 or something ridiculous like that, which went on a huge run. And then Wofford kind of came back out and made it a little bit closer at halftime. They scored 20 in the second quarter, but then we just clamped down. Another like funny 24-8 quarter, like in the first and then the third. We shot the ball really well. We're just a lot more skilled than Wofford was. They have like one really good player, I would say. Got a lot of their buckets. I do not know how to pronounce her last name, but her first name is Queen, and so you'll be able to find that. She's the only Queen on their roster.
Yeah,
that's a lot of consonants for this guy to not put together in the correct order. But we had 5 ladies in double figures, and then I guess if anyone saw on social media, the number 8 Sports Center top 10 play of the day was Emma Smith hitting that 3/4 court 3-pointer, which was really interesting because she had a look at the end of the second quarter, right at the end of the first half, and she kind of pulled up and like took like a jumper from half court, and she was like kind of close on that one. And I was like, man, I wonder if she gets another shot at this, later on, what she's going to do with it. Well, it wasn't going to happen in the fourth quarter, but it was something else. I mean, it was nothing but net bottom. I didn't bang around the rim or hit the backboard or anything like that. It was pretty sweet, pretty cool moment. And then, of course, on top of that, she scores 14 points, gets 10 rebounds and 7 assists. Killer game for Emma Smith. Just fantastic. So, yeah, big win on Sunday.
And we're going on the road, first time on the road. Just keeping it in the mountains, I guess, is what we're going to do. Morgantown, West Virginia against the other Mountaineers, the Navy Mountaineers, on Thursday night. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not Thursday night. It says 10:15 a.m. So we're playing in the morning against West Virginia, and then we are playing at UNC Asheville, the Bulldogs, down there at 3:30. So looking forward to seeing what the ladies do this upcoming weekend. Now, on the men's side, we already covered. We actually recorded right after they played Ohio State. Not very close on Tuesday. So the only game we had between that game and now against Dartmouth up there in Hanover, New Hampshire, right there on the border between New Hampshire and Vermont, in case anybody's wondering where Dartmouth is. And this one was, it was relatively close. We were behind by a little bit about halfway through the first quarter. We just weren't getting things going. And then we went on some like crazy, like 17-3 run and got ahead and stayed ahead. And that was kind of the story of the game. A lot of guard play here, not using a ton of size in this one. Michael Marcus Jr. only logs 5 minutes. Chad Moody did Chad Moody get hurt or something? He only logged 9 minutes.
No, it was just a matchup thing, and that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah, I hope he's not hurt. I really don't mean to have anybody speculate on that. It's just it looks strange. I mean, it was just very guard heavy this particular game, and Luke Wilson, out of all our bigs, unless you want to call Andrew a big, 27 minutes.
Yeah, he's a post.
Yeah. But so we put him away. 85-77. Coach Kearns waxing poetic with the ESPN Plus guys about, I love New England. I love vacationing in New England. So beautiful. Get a room, coach. We know you like New England.
We know what was going on up there. The story of this game was just how well Dartmouth shot from 3.
Yeah.
That's what really kept them in it. And then it was kind of like another game where like we get called for a lot of fouls. I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I agree.
And
we had 3 players with 4 fouls.
Yeah, and so I don't know if that's what's going on with that, because I mean the same thing happened at Ohio State. But really, what got us going was just the guards getting to the basket. Like we're just so much more athletic and quicker than them, and so it didn't matter who it was. It was going to be Jason Clark. Just getting in the basket and scoring and like drawing contact occasionally. I mean, Aaron Banks had 16, Casey Jennings had 21. I mean, even Alonzo Dodd had 16. He was effective. And then Luke Wilson really took off in the second half, I'd like to think, more so in the first half. He ends up getting fouled 7 times, goes to free throw line quite a bit, but just kind of cleaning up the glass there. in some situations. I mean, we did out rebound them. I mean, that made sense. But really, they were just kind of Dartmouth just kind of hung around, just kept hanging around.
Nerds.
But just and like a lot of guys for them had like good games, is so kind of weird. Mostly, starting lineups for both teams doing the most of the damage. Outside of Chad Moody for us, only playing just under 9 minutes. So
yeah, another good encouraging sign is the guys that you would expect to hit free throws were hitting free throws. Right, Luke Wilson is the one that struggled a little bit, but for the most part, that looks like it's cleaning up a little bit, which is good. But yeah, I mean, all right, another road game here. Now we have the next two games here are going to be really fun. Charlotte Friday night and Elon Monday. So Coach Kearns is really bookending this Black Saturday weekend, and we know that he loves to use the football weekend strategically to get people to these games. I am really looking forward to the Charlotte game. I mean, Coach Kearns has made it such a priority to get matchups that people care about and that fans want to see. I mean, it's hard to schedule basketball games at Appalachian. But this series where we have Charlotte and East Carolina alternating years at home for the next, the foreseeable future, it's a lot of fun. Anytime I remember when we played Charlotte when I was a student, anytime we played Charlotte, it was a packed house and it was really engaging. That forever. That was their sport. When I was in school, Charlotte didn't have a football team. So that was them. And, we were, the kings of North Carolina football at that time. So a lot of fun. Neither one of us good at football right now, so we'll play basketball instead. But yeah, the really cool upcoming combo here, Charlotte and Elon, Friday and Monday. Really cool. Anything else men's basketball related, Charles, that we need to look at?
No, I don't think so. Charlotte's 2-2 on the year. They won 2 home games against Indiana State and Tennessee Tech, and then lost the Hornets' Nest to Davidson, and then dropped an 8-point game to Virginia Tech this past Sunday.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, we're going to move on to the hashtag BGP Mail Satchel. We don't have a special guest this week. Turns out life just, moves a little too fast sometimes to book somebody. And I still want Savannah on the show. And obviously she was a little occupied today with what she's doing. But I'm still looking to get our first tennis player on the show. Robert Hogwood saying, well, what about me? Well, he's old. And we like the young athletes on the show, not the old ones. And I'm just I'm being unnecessarily mean right now. But Mountaineer Mania is our special guest sponsor. 497 West King Street, downtown Boone. It's been in Boone, a Boone staple for 45 years. Stop in this weekend when you go to the Charlotte game, when you go to the Marshall game, Black Saturday. Go get your hoodie, go get your outerwear, your hat, your tailgate gear, or whatever you need. Go check out Mountaineer Mania. It's the best place to buy your Mountaineer merch. I did see where the campus bookstore was advertising like a letter jacket. It is so inferior to the letter jacket that they have at Mountaineer Mania. I'm just going to say that. I'm allowed to say stuff like that. I can say whatever I want, but it's true. They have better jackets. And we thank them for sponsoring our special guest segment. And remember, all your purchases from Mountaineer Mania proceeds go to Appalachian State Athletics, which is awesome. And then the hashtag BGP Mail Satchel segment, which, Charles, let's start on Facebook. Let's just shake it up because Brandon Turner said on the radio, whatever you were doing, do the opposite of it. Okay. That's what he said. So Blue Deer Cookies, downtown Boone, downtown Blowing Rock, and in West Jefferson. Go get yourself not cold. You want a warm beverage this time of year. Get your ice cream, get your milkshake, get your cookies, get your ice cream sandwiches. Best coffee bar in Boone, best place to hang out for a sweet treat in the high country. And whoever, I'm going to give away at least two today. We're giving away at least 2 cookie cards today. Let's just let it be known.
Sounds good. So going to go ahead and cancel out the first submission from the mail satchel in the Facebook group. It came from Alex Johnson. I have a submission, he says. Cookie ineligible. Would you rather have the same quarterback room in 2026 with the best offensive line in the conference, or a much better QB with the same offensive line?
What do you think, Charles?
Oh yeah, you probably know what you were going to think there. This is the first time I'm reading this, actually.
I want to know. Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I mean, if we could have the same offensive line that was healthy and stayed healthy, I mean, I think you kind of might go with a much better QB in the same offensive line if healthy. But if you're assuming here the same offensive line like that we have right now, that's obviously beaten up and had a long year, then you might want to go with the best offensive line and see where they would go with that, because we really didn't get to see it at any point this year, in my opinion. Like it was tough from the start. So I don't know. It's like you're hating on somebody somewhere if you have to choose. But
Well, I think you do more than the run game, don't you?
Yeah, I prefer the run game. Yeah, I mean that's what's really lacked. That I think could have made things a little bit different if we had some semblance of one since October.
September, really. I mean, that's when they started getting hurt against Southern Miss and Boise. That's when they were really dropping like flies at that point. I don't know, man. Anytime your running backs are constantly getting touched behind the line of scrimmage, I just think that makes everybody worse. And so if you had a best in the conference offensive line, you're letting your running backs win some matchups, maybe one-on-one, depending on. But at the same time, Loggins likes to throw the ball. Maybe even if we know that he doesn't throw the ball.
Yeah, I don't know where we are with this, because I mean it was week one. Loggins said, I don't have anybody telling me to run the ball.
Yeah, that was so telling.
Yeah. So where are we going with this? Is my question. Is like, is he not running it because he doesn't have the confidence, or is it just because no one's telling him not, to run?
What if Scott Satterfield's calling the plays?
We'll run the ball in November. I know that much.
No, but you're taking the offensive line if Scott Satterfield's calling the plays.
Oh, you mean? Oh, sorry. Reverting back to the question. Yeah, all day.
Yeah, I know we're yesteryear. I know that was like 8 years ago. Yeah.
So I guess we got some questions based off that of that, and Matthew Lyons says he believes that we need a true dual threat quarterback, and having a QB that can run is a cheat code that we don't have right now, and a lot of teams do. When is the last time we ran the option? Well, I mean, like anytime a true running threat. Like, I mean, I know Joey, had a couple of games where he ran a little bit more than normal, but I wouldn't call him that. That was not his MO.
No,
that was not the threat. It was just, is it there? Are they giving it to us? So
they got to give it to you for that.
You're kind of going back, like, a true, like, hey, I'm busting out of the pocket, and first, second reading right there, Zach Thomas kind of stuff. Like that's how far back we're going, and it doesn't. And that's 5 years. That's 5 years. Yeah, I mean that's 5 years. It's half a decade. So it's like, it doesn't seem like it's that long ago, but it really, really was.
There's been a theme this week regarding what Matthew Lyons just said, what you just read, where people are saying, well, why don't we have a dual threat quarterback? Well, why don't we have $1 billion in our budget? Like, it's like, sometimes I think, like, I mean, we got to remember, quarterback is the most sought after, high demand. Like, good quarterbacks are the first to go. And you see quarterbacks that aren't very good getting paid a lot of money. If you're offensive tackle, you get paid a lot of money. If you're a quarterback, you get paid a whole lot of money. So it's not just like, well, why don't we have this? Well, I mean, anyway, I'll stop. I don't.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to compare what someone wants. I can guarantee you, if we wanted to have a dual threat quarterback, we could have had one. And all it takes is someone to just be able to use the run game a little bit, and then be maybe less of a pure passer than, say, Swan or Cole. But you could have it. And I honestly think that makes you better. That was not Dowell's what he had to work with in the NFL. And I really think that his quarterback that he had in the previous conference he was in was more of a running threat than he's ever had before.
Can we talk about that for a second? So this is great. I got a kick out of this. I thought it was great. So I can't remember if it was on the preview episode that we did last week or just the post game. I think it was both, where we kind of said like, hey, like, you know, we're game 10. We're still name dropping, like talking about the NFL and the SEC, and Isaiah Cummings, blah blah blah. He could have started for me at the SEC. It's like we got to chill with that. Like, stop doing that. Like, acknowledging that college football fandom is irrational and emotional and whatever, but we need to stop doing that. And for those of you that didn't watch, not everybody watches the press conferences, obviously, but Coach Loggins gets up there, and clearly I think got a note on his desk or something. He goes up to mention, someone asked him about a dual threat quarterback in Marshall. And Coach said, yeah, the Sun Belt, you know, you see a lot more of that and he was getting ready to say SEC. And he said, in the previous conference I was in. And he removed it from his language. And you know what? Credit where credit is due. I don't know. I appreciate the gesture. I do. I think it's cool. It's one step, baby steps.
Going somewhere. At least there's improvement somewhere.
You texted me that. It got me so good. It's like previous conference I was in. I was like, what? I went back and looked at the previous conference.
Interesting wording. Yeah, the wording is great there.
It is great.
Jason Hutchins says he would prefer a much better QB because they can make plays and get out of there. I would assume the pocket. Neither AJ or JJ are making their play back there with their feet. He mentions that heck, even Chase Bryce could find a 20 or 30 yard rush once in a while. I don't remember those, but
those either.
We'll take it. And then look at Jay Neal agreeing with me, asking these what if questions, right? It's like, well, what's my qualifiers? Do we get a healthy version of this year's offensive slide? If so, then definitely a new QB. If it's the current walking wounded, then I'd take Swan or Cole with an amazing offensive line.
That's a pretty conservative. That's a conservative take. I respect it. That's good.
So next topic would be from Christian, I guess. Two bad choices. Which is the better take on rivalry game preparation? The nameless, faceless opponent or Love Week? I think this is not even close.
Me too.
It's not even close.
What is it?
It's Love Week.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
not close. It was so much contempt. There's so much contempt in that. Like, ugh, no. Like, ugh, no, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way. I'm going to turn it on its head.
And really, and I don't think Logan said that it was Swan, right? Like,
yeah, Swan did. Yeah.
And so nameless, faceless. You've heard that before, but I've never thought that we would go and talk about love when we talked about Georgia Southern in the same sentence, and that came from a coach and a player, right? So that came from someone who didn't get it at that point, and now he probably does, or he's heard enough of it because we're still talking about it.
Yeah,
that's how much. I don't know if we'll talk about nameless, faceless in 6 years, but Love Week has stuck.
See, the difference is nameless, faceless is like that's a perspective, that's an approach. Love Week was like an intentional like reshaping, like that. It was trying to take something that existed that we all knew. It's like, no, we're not going to do it that way, and then we lose. Where nameless, faceless is like, hey, that's not the right approach here. That's not like a direct, offense to anything. It's just like, let's not do that.
Chase Price, not Chase Bryce. With 2 games left, how does Loggins motivate the locker room to come out strong and make that final push for a bowl game? What does he do differently this week to achieve this? All right, so we're doing the fan thing, right? Like it's very clear what our record is. It's very clear what we've done in our last 4 games. So it's really hard to like say, hey, there's still a chance, right? It's for for the fans, like to get motivated for like, because we're sitting there thinking like, man, we've lost 4 in a row. We've looked pretty bad doing it. We've lost it different ways, but there's still a chance to do this. I think it's a lot easier for the players to go and say, hey, we're going to go play back at home. Even though it's only been a couple of weeks, but we still got a chance to turn this around. And I think they forget this stuff a lot faster than we do. And they move on, and fans just don't.
Yeah, for sure.
There's pain, that and the right people know it, and they know there's frustration, and you get to play, right? There's some kids out there who are going to be playing their last couple games of, do you want to play one more on top of it? Does it matter that much? If you do, what will it say to, the guys who commit to this program over the summer, and for the next few years, that you got us back right, you got us back on the right foot. Because that's a very NFL thing to do. Is that like, I've talked about it a couple weeks ago. I kind of believe it is like some of the best NFL seasons are not made, that year, but really what had happened the year before, and when things, when players really started to buy in, and when did things click, and there's that hope, but it's just really hard to, like, for me, to get real super gung ho about where we could be going, or what could be, in what's possible at the end of the season.
Yeah. I think I'm a little, I don't know. I don't like to say pessimistic about this particular topic, but I think it's realistic. So, like, we all have heard the, I say we all, longtime listeners of the podcast will have heard the story of what happened at Troy in 2014. Coach Mike, like, destroying a folding chair or whatever. Like, something happened in that locker room on the road after we lost to Liberty because we had that bye week. No, we had a bye week after. What doesn't matter, but something happened that kind of flipped the switch for the team. We went out and absolutely creamed a bad Troy team, and then went out and won the last 6 games. But the difference is, so I don't think a switch flipped too dramatically, though. Like, we had Hall of Fame players on that team that were getting close. They're getting really close, and they almost had it. And we had a redshirt freshman quarterback, and this was the dead middle of the season. So I think that we like telling ourselves stories like, they turned the corner. I don't know. I mean, and David Jackson wrote a big thing. This is the whole Give a Mountaineer a Chance era, right? They were really close to doing that anyway. They were practicing the right way. They had the right players. They just needed to finally kind of get over the hump. So is that what we have now? It didn't feel that way. I mean, I could be wrong about that. It doesn't feel that we're in that same situation. So I think that in order to truly, like, flip a switch and go like, hey, we're completely turning this whole thing around, man, I don't know if it works like that in football. I really do think it's a long grind. I mean, it is really from like a season ends in December. We come back at, after Christmas break or whatever, and then we start over, and you work all the way through, and you kind of, like I said, I think leadership flows down. Head coach sets the tone. So I don't know. Like, I agree with you, Charles. I think players forget this stuff way faster than we do because they've been programmed to. They can't afford to. They can't afford to linger. They just need to go to the next one. So I don't know. I mean, I think definitely 100% possible we can win these last 2 games. Are we going to see some dramatic, like, win one for the Gipper, like, motivational blowouts last 2? I hope we do, but I don't know if it necessarily works that way. We're banged up. I mean, we still have personnel problems. I mean, it's not like we're hiding the healthy players in the back, right? I mean, we're still struggling while we're struggling. So I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic that you can just turn on a switch. I think another thing we talked about last year, player-led program. There's there's a caveat to that. I mean, player-led program in parameters, like you got to have coaches in there like that put up the guardrails, and then the players execute. But I mean, I don't know. It's a delicate dance, but I don't anticipate anything too dramatic the last 2 weeks. I want us to win. I think we can. But
they just need to see for themselves that like they can do it. I think it's a little bit of a confidence thing right now, and I think that's how you get beat 58-10. Is you lack a little bit of confidence in some things, and Marshall could be that team that does it. They have a little bit of a leaky defense. It depends on which one of their defenses show up, and as to what they do, and they're kind of coming off a game against someone who, in Georgia State, not the best, right? And didn't look great doing it. So this will be, this is their second road game. They go to Atlanta last week, I'm pretty sure. Can't remember.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
And they haven't been great on the road. I don't know. As much as I could sit here and say, what will it take for them to, what would be the springboard? Like, what gets us to 6 wins? It's like, is this the right team to play at the right time? That if you go out there and win kind of a shootout game by like 3, does that like elevate your spirits to the point where you're like, you look at like Arkansas State and you're like, you know what? It doesn't matter, and Arkansas State is, and they haven't been up here in a while. Yeah. And it's not an easy trip, right? And who knows? Who knows what that looks like? And who knows what they'll be playing for if they have anything to play for besides just a bowl game. And if the cookies don't crumble the right way down in the West, and like I said, they may be just playing for pride too. So who knows? That's the positive spin to it. And then, I think we're all very aware of what the other side to that looks like is. So it's tough. But we're all looking for a glimmer of hope because we all need it right now.
Yeah.
Just anything, just a reason to stand up on third down and yell and high five for a touchdown or something like that. I think that's what we really need. And I honestly think the sidelines need it as much as anybody.
Yeah, and that's why, like, if you really look at it, I mean, sometimes it's fun to sit there and soak in misery and 58-10 and stuff, and it's easy to want to do that, feel sorry for yourself. But at the end of the day, you shake yourself off. Marshall's not great. Arkansas State's not great. We could absolutely put these 2 games together and win. We're at home, like you said, Charles. It's a pride thing. Like, enough of these guys have had enough of it. I mean, just win the game. I mean, we didn't. I do think that there's a muscle memory for us over the last decade to say, like, if you don't win by 3, it's not a real win. I think that's still a muscle memory. Like, it's not a real good. You shouldn't feel really good unless you win by multiple scores. I don't know. I think this team needs a win. Just need a win.
I think that. Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't think anybody at this point is getting greedy. With this season, So we'll, however it comes, if over the course of the next 2 games and we get to play a third, that we outscore the other team by 2 combined and 1-1. If we win by 1-1, like, we will run with it.
We'll get the same amount of wins if we win by 20 versus we win by 1. Same amount of wins in the win column.
And like I said, this Marshall team, like, they were kind of like us, what to expect from them. And really their season's probably gone exactly how you think it would have. They really haven't, like, except for a couple of games, like they lost to Missouri State. That was early. They were still getting to know each other and all that good stuff. A lot of new players, coaches, all that good stuff. But turns out Missouri State was actually decent in their first season in FBS and the Conference USA. They're actually okay. And then Marshall beat Old Dominion, who turned the ball over a ton. And but like, what did Marshall have like a little bit of a hangover after like the high emotional, like, playing with James Madison pretty good the previous week, and then they go down to Georgia State and nobody's there, and it's kind of like, I think we all kind of suffer from that. But since we've renewed this deal with Marshall. No one's lost at home. So
Yep.
there's something to be said for that as well.
Yep.
Huntington's a hard place to play. We like to think his Kid Brewer is as well.
Yep. We hope it is. Yeah.
We hope it is. John Bowman. Last week, you guys talked about Capel being unable to coach or communicate with basketball players who were not blue chip talents. Talking about former basketball coach Jason Capel. Could there be a similar situation occurring on the football side of things currently, given all that the combined NFL coaching experience and danger zone Dow coming from the SEC? Where you're surrounded by blue chip talent, it feels like they aren't getting any messages or coaching through to any of the players. Deep breath. Seems like there has been spots of regression since the start of the season across the board in some position groups.
Yeah, for sure. Do you like that name, Danger Zone Dow? Does that register with you? Why he said that?
I think it does. I don't.
Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Okay,
Kenny Loggins.
That's why he said it. Unless John's just totally on a different planet than me, but yeah, Danger Zone, Kenny Loggins, Dow. Danger Zone Dow. I kind of like that. So I think there's truth to that. I really do. We touched on that a little bit in the post game. Honestly, it's super important to kind of like know your players and where you are. Coach Loggins went from, literally coaching with and against the greatest football players on planet Earth to coaching in the SEC. In case you didn't know that, and now he's at a chippy mid-major on a rebuild from putting pieces together in the portal. And I think that if you don't think there's just like a change there, an adjustment that needs to be made, I think in one thing I asked in the post game, and I'm really glad that I didn't, because now we can say it here. There's something that he said to Matt Present in the post game about motivating or getting excited. Or he said something along the lines. The question was asked like, do you have to motivate your guys or something? He said something about motivation, coaching up, hyping up, or something like that. And he said, no, if you have the right players, you don't really have to do anything. Right. I'm paraphrasing. So don't think that I'm. He said, well, you have the right players, you don't have to do anything. And I disagree with that. I think that there are some players at depending on your level of talent or whatever, that you got to read and know. Like sometimes you can't just leave guys alone and say, eat your vegetables. Sometimes you got to clean the cabinets out with junk food and just leave vegetables in there. Like, sorry, I need to like a little more hand holding in a way. And I'm not making a ton of sense here, but I do think maybe there needs to, I don't know, my speculation just totally on the output and how the team's reacting. I do think there probably needs to be a little more coaching up, maybe. A lot of drops this year by the wide receivers. I think it's coaching. It's super unfair to just lay everything on the offensive line's feet, because I know they've had significant injuries, more so than your normal season where guys get dinged up. But no, I think there's something to that. Now, is he branded with that? Will he never be able to do that? I don't believe that. I think that everybody can grow as a coach. Before we recorded late this afternoon, I was actually watching Drinkwitz at a press conference. I thought, this dude sounds 100 times more polished and confident and better than he ever did in Boone. Like, he was sitting there talking to the press about stuff, and he just sounded like mature up there. The way he was, he still has got that drink, shine on him, right? But he just is grown up a lot as a coach. He's just gotten better. He knows he's confident that he's a good football coach, and we all got to start somewhere. But I do think that there's something to be said about having to make adjustments to the level of player you're now interacting with. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to make adjustments.
It's like, imagine that your first head coaching job was in JV football. I'm not saying that's what we are, but like, man, if you were a college position coach and then a high school head coach, and then all of a sudden, you had to coach the JVs one Thursday night, you're like, yo, got some work to do.
They're not listening.
They're not listening. It's a lot to clean up. I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's good. I think there's something to that. And I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. I just think that when you got to anticipate there are going to be some elements like that are going to be challenges for a guy that's used to a certain caliber of athlete, you know?
Jay Neal, so this is an interesting topic of the week, I guess. Can we get some love for Doug Gillen? In all fairness, it's still too early to judge D'Lo as a hire. Obviously, off to a bad start. But Gillen's given us Kermit, Laura, Dustin, not to mention sustained success in wrestling, cross country, entire emerging program success in women's tennis, field hockey. Lucky to have him at the helm. I do think there's been probably a lot more hate. I mean, we're spreading it around, right? Like nobody's happy. Okay, so
Everybody's mad.
Everybody's mad. Everybody's a target. Everybody's done something wrong. I've done something wrong. You've done something wrong, AJ. But yeah, I mean, I think it's still early. Like we can be frustrated and still say like, well, I think that like people often kind of will get labeled as like, if you're not mad, then you're just sitting back and saying, well, give him a chance, and he doesn't have a full cupboard or doesn't have what he wants and all this. But I think it's okay to still be frustrated and say like, what's also not fair to just judge him off 1 year either. No matter what he's dealing with as a first-year head coach and injuries and all the newness. But like everyone knows, and like talking about Drink, that they all realize they've made some mistakes in some certain places, and you hope they correct them, whatever that may be. And, you gotta, he's going to learn so much, this offseason, so much more than he did last offseason. He's going to feel like he was just drinking through a fire hose last year. And now I'll sit back and think, I was like, well, I can make more calculated decisions on certain things and adjust my style and assistant coach's style, etc. So there's a lot to learn. But I don't think at this point that I've seen a lot of backlash and towards the athletic director. I don't think is really necessary at this point.
It's tough because like you got to know thyself. You got to know your school. Like the football coach is going to. You can make all these other great hires, but man, you make a bad football hire. I mean, it's super serious, right? So I'm not disputing that, but I mean, you're right, Charles. I mean, you made the hire. There's a reason you made the hire, and you got to see it through. I mean, we've taken this week by week, literally just week by week, and just kind of analyzing and breaking it down. I mean, what can you really can you really project out a true trend at this point? I don't think so. And watching his recruiting classes out of high school. I'm sorry, but I have said this through the highs, lows. We've said a lot of things, in criticism of Coach Loggins. But one thing I've maintained is like the quality of kind of player that I see him, pursue out there on the internet. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by that, and I want to see that. I really do. And the other thing is, I don't think Doug gets a ton of credit for this. I want to just shout out Doug real quick since it's about Doug. I see him being very enthusiastic about doing things like getting golf a new van. Like you could tell, like he really does get jazzed up helping out the lesser known sports, the lesser the sports that people aren't paying attention to is
lower revenue.
Yeah. Lower revenue sports or no revenue sports. Yeah. And I see the passion. I know he's passionate about it. I know that he, there's probably several programs in this country where they maybe, I don't want to say couldn't care less, but maybe he's like, no, I'm going to siphon that off. But I think that Doug has his finger on the pulse on who's doing well and who's standing out in every sport. I really do. I think he knows that. And as far as hires go, he, Dustin, I mean, we're sitting here talking about like a true blue Mountaineers that were hired that had no connection to App State. They're App State guys, like good friends of ours, Charles Kermit and Coach Kearns. I mean, and Coach Sharp seems to be, she's starting off really well. And these are good people that Doug has brought into the fold specifically. So it is too early to determine like what's going to happen with Coach Loggins for sure. It's just a tough business, man. I mean, football coach is a huge deal. I mean, like, hey, yeah, well, look at this field hockey coach I hired. And that's great. That's awesome. We're really happy that the field hockey coach is great. but there are some positions that just have different consequences than others. But for people trying to freak out, I mean, we're pissed too. I mean, what do you want me to say? How many times can we say it like we're frustrated? You just need a little patience, I think, even in this day and age.
All right. 2-question warning, AJ. David Phillips, if our wide receiver core was 60th in the nation in drops instead of toward the bottom, how many more wins would we have this year? AJ, what's your guess on that?
What was was it Coastal that Dozier dropped that ball there in the
Yeah.
south end zone? Yeah. I think we might win that game, honestly, if we hang on the ball a little bit there. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is like over the course of a season, it's one more win,
Yeah.
I think people will, not necessarily David here, but will gravitate towards, well, whatever that number is. Let's say that number is 40. That would make or let's say just say 25. If we dropped 25 less passes, and that took us from, whatever position we are now to, middle of the road. You gotta say, are these all one? Like, do they all come in one game?
Yeah.
Are they critical situations? Are they all critical situations?
All the most important situations. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So it kind of really averages out to something probably like, maybe 1.5 games.
Yeah.
But if you want to run back through this, yeah, I mean, the Old Dominion game was certainly a possession game up for grabs. Coastal Carolina, one possession game up for grabs. Georgia Southern, you'd say the same. James Madison, drop passes were not the difference.
We could have caught everyone.
Yeah, Boise State drop passes were not the difference. Southern Miss drop passes were not the difference, but how much are you JJ Cole threw 2 interceptions that were not dropped. They were just thrown to the other team. So
Yeah.
you got to remember those things as not being a part of a drop. But
yeah,
when you consider you got you can probably say definitely Coastal game would have certainly been up for grabs. There's a chance one of those other ones could have flipped just by the law of averages, I guess you could say.
It's tough too because we dropped a lot of passes against Lindenwood, so we still won. So we would have scored more, I guess, against Lindenwood. So this is really tough when you go back and try to relitigate the past and say like I just said, if Dozier had caught that ball. But what it's kind of like butterfly effect kind of stuff. Had he caught that ball and we had scored, then Coastal is approaching things in a different way. And who's to say that wouldn't have worked for them? Because they wouldn't have run the exact same plays based off our failure to score a touchdown right there.
Right.
They would have done something different. And there's no way to know whether we could have stopped it or would have stopped it or what. So it's always these hypotheticals. You can drive yourself crazy a little bit. So I choose not to. But yeah, I mean, it's been a problem. I mean, to David's point, it's been a problem.
Kempton Smith, last one. If in your time as fans, have we had a head coach who was also offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator? If you bring one back, who, if D'Lo had to do it over, would he hire an OC so he could focus on being a head coach?
I don't think so.
I don't think he's going to do that. That would surprise me. It's kind of the makeup of the staff. Now, will he bring in, could there be staff changes where you have someone who moves from one position they're doing now to another, brings in a more experienced, it's a terrible word to use, the staff, or a more focused quarterbacks coach or something like that. I don't know, or wide receivers coach, just kind of throwing stuff out there at the wall. Jerry Moore was not, that kind of guy. He had an offensive coordinator, Scott Satterfield, had a quarterbacks coach. And they did a lot of that whole play calling by committee kind of thing, and leaned on
Jerry Moore definitely did.
Oh yeah. Rob Best was, offensive coordinator for a lot of years. And then, Drink did not. And that
worked for him.
Yeah, and it did. It worked for a year, and that's all it needed to do. It worked for a year. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think whether or not if he would do it again, hire an OC, I think absolutely not. I think that's like saying, I don't even know if this is a good example. It's like you finally get your dream car, and it's like, hey, man, I think somebody else could drive that car a little better. Maybe you could sit in the. It's still your car. We can still go where you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's that kind of guy. Like, no, man, this is like the first time I have the final say in exactly how I want it done with nobody yelling at me. He said that after he said that in that first game, you've already referenced it. I thought, man, this is exactly the kind of power he wanted to have. Because in his brain, he's like, this is how it should be. This is how I see the game, and I want to call it that way. He has every right to do that.
I mean, in every situation, you got to imagine. All right, hey, you're interviewing for a job like this. That's going to come across like, hey,
Yeah.
what's your plan? Right? Like,
Yeah.
what would you do if
Yeah.
offered the job? Are you going to, what would your staff look like?
Yeah.
And everybody had to be on board with that, like, or else, he wouldn't have had the job, right? If those who made those recommendations to the people who can make those powerful choices say, yeah, I'm fine with that, then that's what we're going to get. I don't think this is like, oh, I messed up.
Yeah.
I doubt this is a asking for permission after the fact kind of situation. I think it was probably pretty well laid out ahead of time. Like, what would that look like?
Yeah.
Especially in college where you can only have, a certain number of named position coaches, and then obviously sports staff goes further on down the line, and they're bigger in some places than they are in others. So,
Yeah.
okay, AJ, off to you and X.
Yeah, let's go to the X machine here. Will Robinson, in your opinion, how much of football is Johnny and Joe's versus X's and O's? What growth / improvement of each do we need to see in the last 2 home games that'll have us feeling better this offseason? That's a great question. Charles, what do you think?
I think you can always go back and forth on this. You need the talent, but you also need to have them in the right spots. I think if you have less talent, then you must have a much better X and O situation to be successful, etc.
Yeah. I'm a big Jimmy and Joe's guy. I'm a big, like, give me some great play. Give me the right fit. I keep going back to that, ever since we had Kearns on the show and he kept talking about fit, who's the right fit. I keep going back to that because, Noah Hannon, as an example, was not like, if you went to the whole Southeast and went through the different offensive linemen we could have offered and looked at the measurables and whatever, Noah Hannon, in terms of measurables and size and speed, like, wouldn't have even like been a blip. But that dude was the right fit, and it showed. He was a 4-year starter, team captain, just a really, really smart player. I think players make a huge difference, but I do think they, like I said earlier, I think maybe Coach Clark in his tenure, and just Appalachian fans in general, I should say, that's a better way to say it, lean too much into player-led culture. I think it's kind of like, and I don't mean to, like, this is maybe too crude of a comparison, but it's kind of like you've already decided your kids could either have pizza or hot dogs tonight, but you're going to let them choose whether it's pizza or hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
The guardrails need to be set by the coaching staff. The vision and the tone need to be set up front, and it needs to permeate through your staff, as the head coach, and then down to the players. But then you got to give the players a little agency too, to, like, be themselves and to lead themselves in that way. So you absolutely have to have both. I think we are suffering from, I think we have a Jimmy and Joe's problem here. What I would like to see, though, what I think would make me feel better is, like, I don't know if this will apply to Marshall because they're not JMU, but Charles, you talked a lot about it in the post game. Just recognizing that we need to do something else. Like, we need to stop banging our head up against the wall and stop throwing the ball in, because it's clearly not. We need to be strategic. We just need to eat some clock, even if we lose, even if we concede that we're gonna, we just need to do something. Just pull something out of our hat and execute on. Try to extend this a little bit to help the other side a little bit. If I see a little more of that strategically, when applicable, maybe we'll blow them out and we don't need to talk about this. I mean, whatever. But I think that was disheartening on honestly Saturday to see that, just working against ourselves.
Mhm.
If I could just see a little more of everything working together to win this football game. Dare I say, if we don't win it, even if we saw a little more of that, just from a strategic standpoint, I don't know, it makes me feel a little better. I think we're a lot of injuries. I mean, I feel like we've talked about it a lot. Don't turn the ball over. But playing complementary football will always make me feel good. You know, it's probably an easy one to go by there. I like that though. I'm gonna give that to Will. Actually, I like that. I like this. Walt Muff. How can we better promote basketball? I know homes could be a serious home court advantage, but we always lack crowds. Charles, we've talked about this a lot over the years.
Yeah, I mean, winning did a lot, right? That was significant, and I think the Sun Belt doesn't really do us really well with like our scheduling. You know, that's the basketball season. I mean, I know it's November, but like people still have football in their brains, and um, it depends on when those Thursday, Saturday games set up. Like in the past, we've had like weekends where we're at home and like the students are even back. Like,
Yeah,
what can you do there?
we played 4 games like that last year.
Yeah, that's half your conference schedule for the most part. Like that's pretty. I mean, like boom, gone. 5 other games. Like, oh great. You know, how do you get excited about it? This is Sun Belt Care. Um, you got to bring a friend in this situation. You know, if you're going, you got to bring a friend and tell them to bring one, and that's the way that works. You don't need 10,000 people, 10,000 students in like a basketball game to make a difference. You need like 750. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing how different impact you have as far as like people at basketball games when you're indoors and
Yeah.
it's tight and all that good stuff.
Yeah. You know, I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, in Johnson City, East Tennessee State does a pretty good job of promoting their basketball team and putting good crowds in there. I know Johnson City, I don't know, population wise, isn't Johnson City just a little bit bigger than Boone, Charles? I mean, it's not a
It's
huge
quite a
difference, is it?
bit. Yeah.
Quite a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not as familiar with the demographics of Johnson City, but honestly, athletics could put money into non-conference games, out of conference games. They could do that to names draw crowds. You know, it just in times matter too. You know, my son asked me, like, we played in, Carolina Central, you know, 1:00 on a Sunday, and it was sparse there early, and even in the student section. And he's like, "Why aren't there as many people here?" I was like, "Well, I mean, how do you explain to a 9-year-old that well, it's 1:00 on a Sunday, and it's a big week. We just had a big weekend, and it's for some people it was an effort for us to do that. Like we spent
Mm-hmm.
energy to do that. Scheduling and times matter. If I had the keys to the kingdom, I would certainly put more money in our opponents. I would give Coach Kearns that ability to say, go find some opponents and we'll promote them. We'll try to put them on nights that people can make it up here a couple Saturday nights maybe and work in tandem with football. And I just put more in the budget on promoting and trying to build some traditions around basketball. We have that parking deck there that is so helpful. It's so convenient for people on that skywalk over there. I mean, obviously, Charles, we don't have to say how much we love basketball. We're hardcore basketball fans, but it really comes down to time, attention, money, and promotion. I think on its own, though, Coach Kearns and what we've done over the last 7 years is just, the student section that was there for that Carolina game that's not even on the radar for a Saturday conference game in 2015.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way, and I'm very grateful for what we got. This is from Christian, App State grad 20. We all know about the bring your parent to school days. When's the last time you brought your kid to work? And this is the picture of Coach Loggins in
God.
the third quarter, 27-0, 14 minutes on the clock. It was after that failed fake punt attempt. Charles, what do you think about this? I mean, you probably already know.
Yeah, it's a pile-on situation, unfortunately for D'Lo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that screen grab after that, play call, the timing, the 3-game losing streak that turned into what it did on Saturday, and then that surfaces, and then that kind of stuff, like, it blows up.
Mhm.
Like, and people are like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, I was just trying to be cute and funny when I posted about 36 inches of rushing,
Yeah.
and I wasn't like, and I was just trying to just like laugh, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to do
Yeah.
this, and so this is just a very similar situation. I think that was my most liked tweet of all time, and I couldn't believe it. I was like,
Was it really?
yeah, I was like, oh my God, why is this doing numbers? And I didn't want it to, like, you know what I mean?
Hilarious.
I was like, God, no. I almost like, there was parts of me on Sunday morning that was still doing stuff, and I was like, I want to delete this tweet, like, so bad, so I don't have to think
Don't
about
be a
it.
coward. Leave it up.
I know, right? So I kind of like, the only reason I mentioned that was because, like, that is that moment in time where you're like, someone's like, oh, I'm going to bookmark this. I'm going to remember this. This is going to be something we talk about. And when we have ammunition for whatever ulterior motives people may have about certain things, they'll use that, right? It was probably a very innocent moment. But I think what probably hurt more was that there was like nobody else around him. Like, I think that probably, I was like, it's not so much that he's beside his kid and he's got a young GM who's trying to show stuff, right? I mean, like, it just was bad timing. I kind of feel for him because it needs, somebody's got to explain that, right? Like, I wonder if that kid
or do you? That's such a weird. That's a out of context screen grab of a video of a moment in time. Who knows? I don't even know how long they were sitting there doing that. That could have been for 3 seconds. He said, "Hey, look at this," and then walked off. I don't remember that. I don't remember that moment. I don't remember when I was on the screen. But I'm with you though. I think this is, and I say this with all due respect to everybody that's pissed off about it. This is Hammer looking for a nail. You're mad. You're 27-0. I'm pissed off, and I don't like this guy. He sucks. And what is he? He's ruined my team. And blah. Look at him. He's playing. What did Hutchins say? Playing Fruit Ninja with the game on the tablet.
All the things could have come to people's minds,
Yeah, and it did, and that's okay. Like, take it out, and coaches get paid $1 million a year to hear criticism of a screen grab like that. I mean, honestly, if we're just keeping it real for a second, I just say I saw that. I saw people making fuss of it, and honestly, my gut reaction was I have so many questions about that picture. Like, he's not showing his kid. He's not leaning over and showing his kid that. That's not what he's doing. Hey, buddy, come over here and look at this. I mean, he knows what the deal is. He's getting his teeth kicked in. He's not sitting there babysitting. Anyway, and people going a little too far into like his kid should be out of there. I got news for you. Braxton Clark is on the sidelines for those games. So, like, let's calm down a second. I don't know.
And Chris Moore was on Jerry Moore's sideline for a lot longer than that. He was an old man.
That's right. What a throwback. What a throwback. Holy cow, it's great.
I mean, I can't believe he let his son put his cowboy boots up on the coaching room table and put a dip in. Come on.
Blue Deer cookie for Charles. Yeah, that was great.
I actually went to Blue Deer today.
Oh, well, good. Awesome. Do you anything to promote? What'd you get? Did you get a coffee or something?
It's like a Smoky Ridge latte.
I like that. Nice. Smoky Ridge latte. Got some logins hate here. We're just gonna let people get it out of their system here. Does Scott Ayers, does D'Lo's 40% win rate mean he is also learning how to win? I actually I don't think that's an unfair thing to mention. I think we've mentioned it on the show. He's been on a lot of bad NFL teams, and I think the best college team he was ever on, I think, if I looked at the records at some point, I think it was last year with South Carolina.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fair to point out that that's something. That's a thing. Like, well, you haven't been on great teams, which I think is valid. But also I don't think we don't need to. I don't know if I'd lean too hard into that. I mean, it's a weird tension between the respect of somebody that's been around the game at a really, really high level, and also throwing in some valid, like, hey, yeah, but like, there's this other thing you haven't done, which is kind of been around an organization that like winning kind of radiates throughout the halls. I don't know. I think there's a tension there. At the end of the day, Coach Loggins is a competitive guy. There's no head coach that's not competitive. I don't know. I think that's
yeah. And like we said earlier, I think I said earlier, it's like you're gonna learn a lot from year 1 to year 2, and I think in year 2,
yes,
you're gonna realize you've said some things that you thought were gonna hit and just didn't.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's getting thrown back at his direction, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're in the big boy chair. There certainly has been a tone shift with him, and I'm not even saying it's bad. It's just, I think, when you take it game by game, week by week, and see what's going on, you just kind of understand what you signed up for and what you got.
Right.
Becomes a little more real. Grayson chat, I want to give Loggins time, but what's the realistic limit here? If next year looks anything like this one, especially offensively, how long should or would the program actually wait before making a move? At what point does a rebuild turn into a wake-up call? So this is all kind of like dovetailing into each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll kick off here and say this. Again, I've said this for weeks now, but we were already trending to have a rough year. 5-6 last year, best players on that team left. It's hard to replace players at a certain market value with way less than market resources. So I don't think it's fair to point that out and chastise we're not good, we don't have the talent, whatever. I think it's totally fair to talk about the regression, I think, and the lack of response, what it seems like from our eyes, that it's just like the team is just regressing a little bit. Yes, we know we're injured. Yes, we know we're not as talented as we were last year, but something about the eye test and some of the messages that have been sent from the top, just it's not flowing the way I think we want it to. But as far as like just pure, hey, we didn't win 7 games this year, I don't know, man. Like, show me somebody that what other scheme or play calls or whatever could have made up for some of the things that we had to go through. I don't know. That's tough. So he's got a recruiting class coming in. I bet they're going to be like you said, Charles. I think you said it really well just now. The biggest changes in improvement, opportunities for improvement, are year 1 to year 2, and he's going to get year 2.
He's going to. That's just going to happen.
Yeah.
You can't put out that expectation. I mean, that like, hey, you better get it right. Like, then you better give me the resources in year 1 to make it to get this thing flipped, or to go from the reason I'm here to the reason you hope that I'm sticking around and nobody else wants me. Right? Like, it's not like we're printing money and we can just go buy a roster and fix it, because then we're just be back in the same boat again. What's the best we can do right now? Like, record wise, what is the best we can do? Like, at this point, 7-6 is the best we can do right now. What is the worst we can do right now? 4-8 is the worst we can do. Does that lengthen or shorten his leash at all? No.
Yeah. No, you just kind of had to go through what this year was going to be from a roster standpoint, and see if you could actually do what you say you could do, and go work the portal and recruit your butt off and set the stages for the years to come. And that's all you can do.
Nobody wants to hear or talk about that like, you had to go through the motions. This was a throwaway, but you had to set something. You had to find the baseline. Like, where do we go from here? How bad is it really? Because I mean, I guarantee you, no one really knew what was going to happen this year in the Sun Belt. Like,
yeah, that was the theme.
No one thought Southern Miss would be where Southern Miss is.
Right.
The West is a mess as expected. Troy was probably a little bit better than people expected them to be. But outside of that, like,
yeah,
there's been a lot of wow, kind of crazy. Texas State, just getting shellacked. Like I think everyone took all their energy out on Texas State this year. It's kind of hilarious. They're like, nah, man.
They're saving it for the Pac-12, Charles.
It felt like the same thing that happened to us. God, it was terrible. SoCon days.
Oh man, that was a rough year. So this is an interesting. So this is a Noah Thompson here. I'm gonna add a little flavor to the question. Strictly from a scheme perspective, this team has no identity offensively. In the last 2 games, the offensive guru head coach, from the offensive guru head coach, what needs to change? Ooh, pardon me. We simply look lost offensively. So let me ask you, Charles. I think that's true, but also, if we say all the time, it's a common football cliche, like your offensive line is the most important part of your offense. If that is the weakest part due to injury, and you're not able to do, it's just harder to create an identity. You're just it limits you even more and forces you to say, like, what can we do here? Like, what are we able to do? What are we able to do well? And then if you already have pieces that maybe aren't as, like AJ Swann's probably better quick pass kind of guy, but then you're dropping balls. So like injuries at the offensive line this year, I think, does it not make it a lot harder to establish an identity? I'm not trying to make an excuse for not having an identity or whatever, or executing, but that, really starts with you're not pass protecting well, not run blocking well. Like, what can you do?
It's kind of like complaining about having a basketball team that doesn't block shots when no one's over 6'7". Like, you kind of got to have it, right? Unless you're going up against like short defensive linemen who don't weigh anything, right? Like that's the counter to that. It's really tough. I mean, like you can minimize the damage, and I think that's probably what the point I was trying to make last week in the post game is, like, you minimize this damage a little bit and adjust versus just trying to say, hey, look, these are the guys. This is what we're building. I don't want them to quit. Like, at some point, like, if this isn't like 1985 football players where you get out there, you match heads, and you figure it out, and you see who survives. Like, this is a different generation of like player and personalities and all that. No one wants to talk about that a little bit either. That's not fun, but like,
yeah,
they got to see some encouragement. They got to see some like, hey, we are doing well, or hey, we are making a path. And if you can't show them that with what you do, then you can't just sit there and expect 100%, 110%, 120% effort when it's just not working, right? I mean, I think that's how it would work in all of our jobs. Like, hey, man, I know, I know, you're struggling right now, but if you really just work harder, that's really what it comes down to. Like, no, sometimes people just need to see it, need to feel it. I need to know that, like, I can have success. Like, does a woodworker learn how to, make the beautiful crown molding and baseboards and all that good stuff with, like, starting with, not building birdhouses? Like, you just don't run into the hard stuff and then like figure it out. You're going to have to make mistakes, but you also got to be like, hey, I got to get down to maybe I know what I can do is not what you're asking for me to do, and like maximize that. Maximize that talent with what you have.
Yeah. I also think a comment like this is easier to make, certainly when you go up against a really good defense, that's really like trying to kick your head in. I mean, I'm not making excuses for last week at all. It was embarrassing, but that was a buzzsaw. They were a really good team, and they hated us, and they were jacked up for us to come up there, and we were red meat for them. But I even think,
do you think we spit on their field? Or do you think they just made that up?
Bro, I've heard so many just dumb stories about other teams saying what we've done when we've circled their field that no, I don't. Sorry. I mean, look, if some equipment manager for JMU caught him doing it, like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll believe it. But like, I don't know, man. We've heard some doozies over,
Yeah.
like there was something that down at Arkansas State one year where the guys were circling up and you had players in the stands like cussing at them, and like the team gets around the logo and prays. They pray before they go in the locker room. That's what they're doing. And yeah, I'm not saying no one spit, but I don't know, man. That sounds like Michael Jordan making up a story to get himself jacked up from The Last Dance. That's what it sounds like to me.
Whatever motivates you, right?
Whatever. Yeah. Did you hear that story where Michael Jordan made
Oh
up
yeah,
in the
course,
yeah. He didn't say that. It's like, yeah, I know.
He didn't say that. He just wanted to start winning. He
Yeah.
just wanted to drop 40 on your head.
So let me ask you this. So this is Josh Snyder. What's up, Coach? Coach Josh Snyder here, of Appalachian State men's basketball manager fame. He says, when will we get back to a true dual threat quarterback who can actually run effectively? Why have we veered away from that mold, which gave us great success? JMU, Arkansas State both have quarterbacks from the Piedmont Triad who would thrive with offensive weapons around them. So we talked about this just a second ago, and I want to get your take again. That's why I read it. You said if there was a dual quarterback threat out there, we could have gotten him. And I'll concede that, yeah, sure. But do you think that just good dual threat quarterbacks are just readily available? I mean, someone being a dual threat quarterback, like I don't know. I'm not even gonna make one up. But
Yeah,
I think that maybe Loggins was leaning towards. I think AJ Swan is the best, highest ceiling that I can get this round.
yeah.
He's not dual threat, but I think he's the best I can get this round, regardless of whether there's dual threat. Or do you think that he rejects the dual threat? Because I don't think he rejects the dual threat.
How can you do that after you saw success with what you had last year?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It would be wild, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sorry, we got a dual threat quarterback, Dow. Make it work. Nah, I don't want to play him.
Yeah.
Guess what? If you want to be employed, this is who's starting the quarterback. I'm the quarterback's coach. I'm the head coach. This is who your quarterback is. Sorry. I know you have input, but your input's no good.
Yeah.
I'm Shane Beamer.
Thanks for filling that in.
Do you sacrifice something? Perhaps. But you can't tell me these high schools that are you going to sacrifice a little bit of arm? You're going to sacrifice a little bit of like height? You know, like some weight? Yeah.
Yeah.
But not every dual threat quarterback is 6'3", 175 pounds from Greenwood, South Carolina.
Right.
Who has a reason that he thinks the whole world hates him, and he's going to make sure that they feel his wrath when he's done with them. That might not be it, but that might also not be the reason why. Which some have mentioned this Western Carolina quarterback that I don't think that's the Dow guy. Like, I don't think he's, is Western Carolina having a good season? Sure. But are they having a great season? Like, no. This dude's like average yards per pass is like 5. Like, it's
yeah.
There's a reason it looks good. There's a reason it looks good. It's not the same. It's not an NFL style.
Yeah.
I do dual threat, like you're talking about dual threat, like dudes going for like 30-yard desired runs. Like, no, we want like like somebody that you have to just think about. Like, oh, could he take off? Could he take off? Can he on 3rd and 7 escape the pocket, break contain, beat a middle linebacker to the pylon on that sideline? Yeah, that's what you want.
Taylor Lamb.
Yeah, just enough.
Taylor Lamb. Yeah.
And Taylor Lamb wasn't juking anybody out.
No.
He's Tweetsy, stays on the tracks. He's going to a place he needs to go.
Yeah.
He has designed that, and he knows he has to get there before that person usually did.
And he made the read fast, and he was athletic enough to run fast enough at a straight line to get that done. But he wasn't like out there making people miss, to your point. No, man, I think, at the end of the day, I mean, I think it all shakes out at the end. I think, yes, there are instances where where coaches miss on a projection. Of course, that happens, but I think it all shakes out in the end. If like there's like this Western Carolina guy, like if his and I haven't watched him,
I need
but if he really is like an athlete, got a good arm, smart, and also like you got to put somebody on him and worry about him, then he's not going to be at Western Carolina. He's not. He's going to be somewhere else. If he is that guy, if he's not that guy, then he'll be at Western Carolina. I think it all shakes out. And if he's somebody that's good that would help us that Coach Loggins wants, we get him. Okay. But I don't know.
I think he's at Tulsa next year. Watch. I think that kid's at Tulsa.
Oh, okay. That would be very interesting. All right. I'm not going to read all these. You kind of overlapping a little bit. This is an interesting question here. I'll just throw that out there. It's an easy one. Christian, App State grad, 20. For years, App and Virginia Tech have competed for the same recruits. How does the hiring of James Franklin at VT impact local recruiting going forward? There have been instances of Virginia Tech offering or recruiting guys that end up at Appalachian State in a true, like, I offered you a scholarship, they offered you a scholarship, we win. I think that happens very rarely. That happened to Troy Everett. Troy Everett got a scholarship offer from Virginia Tech and chose Appalachian State. Now he's at Oklahoma. I think it's something that, honestly, like, James Franklin's probably going to be a way better recruiter in his staff than Brent Pry. Will this really impact our our high school recruiting and our whatever? I just don't see how it changes really anything from what it already is.
I mean, I don't think his recruiting footprint is really changing.
No, I agree.
He's going to keep that footprint, and that comes down to who he hires on his staff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed that he was at that Troy ODU game the other night for a reason. He wasn't just running across Norfolk and like, hey, looky here. Like, this is a week later. He knew what was coming, right? He was there for a reason. He was recruiting.
Yeah.
You think there's tampering in the before there was a portal, like with players? Come on.
Yeah.
The coaches are doing it too. Even
100%.
the ones who weren't employed or are employed or
100%.
Come on. Like,
I'll tell you the thing that's actually more of a threat to our recruiting than the new head coach, James Franklin, is the fact that Virginia Tech recently, this is before I think they fired Coach Pry, had made a huge decision to spend money. And that would have impacted us way more than whoever their head coach is.
Yeah.
But it this is a marginal impact. We already weren't swimming in their waters, really.
Did Bill Belichick and Chapel Hill make those two schools are about the same distance away from Boone, right? Is that making a difference on our recruiting? I don't think so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. It's a fair question though. I mean, I think he'll do a good job at VT. That's just me. I'll just read a couple more here. This is from Philip Schneider, who I believe I voted for Philip Schneider for student body president when I was in school. I'm pretty sure that's who that is. Philip Schneider. I think he ran with Peter Rao. I think Peter was his vice president. I'm pretty sure that's who that is. So Philip Schneider, if that's you, I don't remember if you won or lost at this point. So maybe my vote didn't even help. Sorry. Theoretically, 6 wins is still achievable. Would the Lindenwood win count as a bowl eligible win? Thinking of the 2022 6-6 record. So what you're not thinking about, Philip, is we played 2 FCS teams because we had to what was a Marshall at a conference game became a Marshall conference game, and we weren't able to replace that with another FBS program. And so we had to scramble. We got Robert Morris. So we did win 6 games, but 2 of them, unfortunately, were against FCS programs. Okay, so A-Holes Tailgate. This is the last one I'll do in the Twitters. A-Holes, and I appreciate everybody participating. We're not getting everybody, but appreciate everybody participating. Interested in your opinions and discussion here. Transfer portal additions and quick return needs. Do you go after proven FCS talent with only 1 or 2 years of eligibility, or potential but unproven young P4 talent. Jaden Barnes is a perfect example for me. Charles, what do you think?
I think that equation just comes down to is a guy with 2 years left coming from Austin P wanting more or less than a FCS transfer defensive lineman who's got like 16 tackles for loss and 8 sacks and like they want more money, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's just like that's what's really hard, and that's why probably Dal is our guy. You know, he's looked at like where do you spend money on players? Where do you want most of the input of your team? You know, you're going to pay. You can be like Cincinnati Bengals right now, right? And say, hey, we got money tied up in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, but we have no defense, right? Like we have nothing going on back there. Or you can be the Dallas Cowboys trading away those big potential contracts and having the same kind of issues with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, and or you can be the team that's like, hey, we're going to have a strong defense and we're going to spread the money out a different way. And it's the only way I know to really kind of give you an idea of what that might look like. But I don't know what he wants. I don't know what Dal wants. Like you said, was our quarterback room. Is that what we could get at that point in time last year? So if that was the focus, it's like you look at who's coming first, right? So those are the people you're like, all right, this is what we can get. This is what we can afford. Do we get a value, quote unquote value in like somebody we didn't think we could get, but then we did. And it's like, oh, now we can go after this other guy because we have $5,000 more dollars to spend. And that's just a random number at defensive tackle, corner, linebacker, whatever.
Yeah.
Offensive line.
So I would prefer go get guys with a motor at the FCS that maybe we're not competing as heavily with on the top end that don't have the measurables. Mekhi Jackson is another good example, by the way. Mekhi Jackson, Jaden Barnes, Bucky Williams, Isaiah Helms. These are all really good examples of that. However, we got a kid out of Valdosta, I think Michael Murata, I think was his name. He never ended up playing, I don't think, offensive line. He came from Valdosta State. And then you have your list of the P4 transfers that we had some. Let's see, we had a USC lineman last year. I don't think he played.
Never played.
He never played. He was huge, and it was like, oh, look how big he didn't play. Thomas Schrader from FSU. I'm sure he's a good boy. I don't think he's very good. He's at South Florida now. Had a kid from Auburn. I don't think he was that great. Jackson Hollifield ended up being pretty good at center from Virginia Tech. But yeah, I would rather go, like, I'll just never forget, like, the first time I met oh my gosh, Demetrius Taylor. We met him at Media Day, and he was 6 foot flat, not tall. But dude had a motor, and I mean, he was a defensive end in the NFL for a hot minute, and like just he did not have the measurables of a power, the arms, the length, the height. He just didn't have it. But he was the dude, I think I would. That's what I would want Coach Loggins to use his eye for, talent evaluations for that level to try to get some value versus, hey, this guy didn't play. Who's that kid? We gave a kid a scholarship for a spring out of Texas, the quarterback, and he was terrible, and they cut him. And obviously the crown jewel of this conversation for the power argument is Chase Bryce. Chase came in here and was a great player. I would go the FCS route personally.
There's just certain positions where you can get an advantage recruiting up or recruiting down, that will make your team better. So like a heady quarterback who can process defenses and escape the pocket, like, when it breaks down, like, seems like a good place to invest. But if you're talking about like non-skill guys right? Like this, you need to spend money on some skill, right?
Yeah.
I think wide receivers are, the difference between, the number one wide receiver, number 100 wide receiver, then the portal are like, it's a money thing. It's like, can you save a little bit of cash? Like when you're talking about the guys we can probably get, you're probably down to the 100ths of a second on a 40 time, and probably an eighth of an inch on hand size, and 2 or 3 pounds, and is this guy's shoulders wider than this guy's? Are the levers right? It all matters.
Shout out Justin Watts. Yeah. 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 And I think this not like an opportunity for high school? Because like you got the top guys that are like shuffling known commodities and film and everything else. And I don't know, maybe you do sneak in and get a kid that programs that originally would be throwing offers at him. Maybe he's not getting as many, and you can say, hey, look, we're not loading up with portal guys from top to bottom. We got some portal guys, but we're getting high school kids too. I mean, that to me could be an opportunity to get more talent at different positions like you're talking about. I think it's easier for us to get a 6'4" wide receiver out of high school than it is in the portal.
And how much better can they get? Like,
right.
Like, are there some guys who are already 20 and 21 years old who have already peaked?
Yeah.
And
you already know what they got. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this it? Or like, are you being held back by like, D'Lo or somebody else is like, look, I know that wide receivers coach, and I don't like him, and I don't think he's coaching him right. And this goes on, right? That's he sucks. I can get some more out of this kid. And
Isaiah Cummings is a great example, by the way.
There you go.
Another one. Yeah. Yep, that's actually a great example, because if you look at Isaiah's stats, I mean, they just do not jump out. They're very little production, and then he looked great on the field for us. He did, until he busted his knee against Coastal, which was awful. Yeah, it's awful. It's good. It's a good satchel here. Charles, what do you think is going to happen? I know you haven't written your prediction yet, but what are we feeling for Saturday?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious about the weather. How much does that affect some things? Is it going to, I've seen some things. It's still way too far over. It's like it could be over by like in the first quarter or something like that. Does that have an impact? Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Marshall's quarterback ran a lot last week. Well,
JJ Cole's going to be quarterback. We know that.
Yep.
I mean, it is. I mean, Loggins basically all but said it. I know he was being, secret storm,
all but said it. Doesn't look good. Probably, there you go. Like, what is this? What is this topic we haven't talked about? Like,
he said that about Trent Ramsey when they put him on a stretcher. He's like, yeah, it's probably not good. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to see him until next year then. That's what that means.
All the Caniacs out there, all the Canes hockey fans. Anytime a Hurricanes hockey player gets hurt, Rod Brindamore in a post game was like, "Oh, it doesn't look good," and then it's like sewed up, skating the next day. Like,
oh,
it doesn't look good. It's
that's
like,
really
all right,
that's
cool.
hockey, though,
man.
Man.
Yeah, I know.
Hockey's
but
crazy.
I don't imagine we're going from crutches and air casts to 3-step drops.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man.
What if it's not Cole?
Then it's not Cole. I don't know. This is not Cole. I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, man, I think that again, I said this earlier, I think we touched the stove. It was really hot. JMU's a great team. Marshall is not they're not Charlotte. They're not Oregon State, but they're not JMU. Let's win this game. Let's go in there and get fired up and be pissed off. Nobody believes in you. No, everybody's mocking you and your coach and whatever. Do something about it. I mean, get fired up. And, if it's Noah Gillen, then let it be Noah Gillen.
Let's play 4 quarters.
Yeah. Play mean, get nasty and play aggressive, and want it more than the other team. I mean, really want it more than the other team. Like, really embrace, like, these hillbillies from the friggin', Ohio basin, or they're coming. They're coming down here, and they're bringing a lot of green with them. Like, let that piss you off a little bit. Black Saturday. Good. Let's get nasty, and go to the basketball game on Friday too. Make it a combo, folks. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap this up, and we'll see everybody Saturday. For everybody that's listened this far in the Black Gold Podcast, thank you for downloading this episode. And remember, when you're in Kid Brewer Stadium, make sure and purchase the Black Saturday can from Boonshine. I cannot wait to see it and hold it. It's going to look awesome. And I think I'm going to take Charles's advice.
And do not sneak one out.
Yeah, don't sneak one out. Or Becky Hurtklotz, I need you to get me one. Becky, save one for me. Do it, please. I'll trade you an Armani Edwards shirt for it. Anyway, so we're going to wrap up here. And until our post-game episode covering this Marshall game, hopefully we're talking about 2 big wins Friday and Saturday. Go Apps.